Hello Zimbabwe, and thank you for joining us on Nehanda TV. Today I have the pleasure of introducing probably my youngest ever guest here on Nehanda TV, the princess of motocross in Zimbabwe, Tanya Muzinda. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So, you've probably seen clips on YouTube of Tanya riding her motorbike. It's a sport called motocross. I'll hand you over to her to explain give us the basic idea behind this sport. What are you competing against, or against who?
You're competing against time.
Uh-huh.
You're trying to see if you're very good, so that when other people from other countries come to watch you, you can show them what you're made of, and you can get sponsors and...
Okay, that's the big picture.
Yes.
But in simple terms, are you just seeing who's the fastest? Is it just a sprint? Are you just sprinting to see who's the fastest, or you have other obstacles that you need to negotiate with? What's the typical race like?
The typical race is, if you can jump, people can tell because you're finishing the jump, which makes you faster than others.
Okay.
If you jump half, people, you are unlikely to get sponsors because you can't ride it. You can't ride
the way it's supposed to be done.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sitting here looking at you and I'm like, okay, she's a very young girl. How on earth did she get into motocross? What inspired you?
Well, my dad, he used to ride a super bike.
Okay.
So one day his friend invited me and my dad and my mom to come, but he thought that I was a boy, so...
Well, how old were you when this happened?
I was 5.
Did you hear that? 5 years old. Okay, and then what happened?
So when we then arrived, he then saw I was a girl and he was surprised. Then my dad said that we have to use what we have.
Okay.
So I started riding. At first I was scared. I fell for the first time and I said I don't want to do it anymore. But then as time went, I then got used to it and then I found it very fun.
Ah, okay. Alright, so this is your story, how you got interested in this. But a lot has happened since then, in terms of how you've progressed in the sport, joining an academy in the US. Tell us about that.
Well, I was very excited because it's something that I didn't expect at all.
Okay.
It's nice to be riding with other girls because you're used to the boys, and it's like riding with new people. So I think it's very nice.
There's a clip of you on YouTube where I think you had a camera put on your helmet or something. It was filming in real time. You know, you were right, and you had all the sand hitting against the bike. It looked very intimidating. I mean, when you're actually riding on a race course, just describe it to us. How is it scary? I mean, sure, it must be scary when you have all that sand hitting against you.
Well, it looks scary for the first time when you're riding, but then later on you're used to it because it's like riding a bicycle but much faster. The sand, you can't feel it because you have a helmet, and also goggles which protects you from the sand, so it's not intimidating.
Oh wow, you hear that? Not intimidating at all. Oh my god, she puts a lot of people to shame. Hey, I watched that and I was quite intimidated. Okay, so you are here in the UK. We need to explain why you are here in the UK, and I think this has something to do with it. Could you just tell our viewers what that is and how it happened?
This is a trophy for Sportsman of the Year.
Okay. Zio Awards, right here in the UK.
Yes, I worked really hard for this. I put all my effort, especially my dad. He had sleepless nights trying to to make us come here. So I'm very thankful for this.
Wow. Well. At a very young age, she's already accomplishing a lot. A Ziwa Award for Sportswoman of the Year. As you can see, she's entered in quite a couple of races. I think that caught my eye. Let me take that away from you and we put it here so that our viewers can look at that. I think that caught my eye was you being an ambassador for is it the European Union in the rural areas. What have you been doing in relation to that? I mean, ambassador at your age, surely that is something to shout about. Talk us through that.
Being an ambassador, it's very. I was very honored. What I was doing was is inspiring the girls and boys who are in the youth to do any sport they think of, even if it's a male or female dominant sport. So I think every single child there should do any sport they think of.
At your age, I'm interested to find out, what do your friends think about what you're doing and what you're accomplishing? Are they getting jealous? How do they react to your achievements and what you're doing?
Well, people when they get to know that I do motocross, they ask me, "Aren't you really scared?" And I tell them that it's nothing, and so they'll be getting more interested in it. So every day, people come and ask me, "Where do you ride it? How do you ride it? Where can I get a bike?" And they start telling me that they've always wanted to ride one, but their parents have been very scared.
Yeah, I'm sure it must be quite scary for any parent because you don't want anything to happen to your kid in terms of an accident or falling. But I think it's something that happens a lot in motocross, you know, hence the protective gear. I've seen you wearing the protective gear and, you know, it looks, I'm sure anyone who looks at that will think, wow, this is a dangerous sport. But I'm sure you're used to that now, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, we want to talk about your message to any young girl who's watching this, who feels inspired. What would you say to someone, let's say we give you the challenge, the young girls are watching, and we ask you, okay, Tanya, inspire the girls who are watching. What would you say to them to make them join this sport? How would you sell it?
I'd like to say to all the young girls out there that you should do any sport that you think of, even if it's a male dominant sport. You should do it with all your heart because all your work will later pay off and you'll be very proud of what you would have done back in the future.
Okay. And, well, that's Tanya Muzinda, very confident at motocross, very confident also during this interview. And, hey, thank you for joining us on Nehanda TV.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay, so now we talk to the dead Tanya Muzinda. Obviously, we want your perspective or your narration of how this happened. What inspired you to say, right, I want my daughter to do this?
Okay, no, thank you so much. Thank you, Zimbabwe. In fact, I grew up in Mavuku. Mavuku is a town adjacent to the Donnybrook track. So we used to sneak to go to Donnybrook to watch. That was early in the 80s. And it was a no-go area. There's a railway station, there's a railway line, in fact, that separates Mavuku and the Donnybrook track. So our parents would not have that kind of nonsense for us to cross to Donnybrook. You understand? So we had to make sure that we would sneak there, you know, like little spy masters. So they scale a fence and go into the track. You understand? So I just told myself that, you know what, when I grow up, I want to buy a big bike. I need a big bike. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So the sport really, it was just in me, motorsport. I really wanted to be in motorsport, but because my dad, didn't understand, my parents didn't understand, they were not exposed to that kind of sport.
Okay.
So I had only to buy my bike when I was older, but I could not compete. So I'll just do the trial runs with the guys, do a halfway run to Mutare, or to Rua, and have some drinks. Yeah.
So obviously your daughter growing up and seeing you into bikes,
Yes,
naturally the interest came from there.
Yeah, because when I first bought my bike, but because I'm African, and super bikes are not
It's not very African.
It's not very African, you understand? Yeah, and people then say, you know what? If you buy a bike, you're gonna kill yourself, and your wife, you have restless nights in your house. So what I then did was, like, when I bought my bike, I bought my wife a quad bike. So when I brought the bike, I also brought a quad bike for my wife. You understand? So
you see how it's done? Yeah, very sleek, eh?
So she was like, oh, okay. So at least we got something also to play with.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I spread the risk. To say, okay, you also got a quad bike.
Yeah.
I got my super bike. So yeah, let's play.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You obviously seen your daughter's career and unfold, and one milestone to another. How does it make you feel as a dad?
I think, that feeling, I no longer feel anything. You understand? Because what we need to do is to then give that motivation to the Zimbabwean children. It's not for Tanya. It's not for the family. She has become a national what do you
treasure. Yeah.
Something like that.
Certainly.
Yeah. Whereby now she inspires the other children. You know what I'm saying? So that they can actually achieve more, and through that it makes us happy. That at least I've got other children, I've got feedback from other children, from parents. They ask a lot about, how do we get our children into the sport? But it takes time, and it takes courage really for people. But I tell you, in 2 years, 3 years time, we're gonna have more black parents coming into motorsport. Yeah.
In terms of the sort of support you're looking for someone like Tanya, or any other girls that would want to be interested in this sport, what sort of support, whether it be from government, corporate sector, what sort of support would you like to see? You're someone who's into the sport.
Yeah.
You know what it takes to get your daughter to be where she is. What sort of support would people like yourselves require?
Okay. Yeah, mostly it's the financial support, because it's an expensive sport. Like Tanya's bike, she's riding a 65. You are looking at 40,000 rands for a brand new bike. But you don't just need one bike. You really need, just like a shoes. You need 2 pairs. You need 3 pairs. So it's much to do with the expenses involved. But because this is a free world, everyone is free to do what they need to do. But it is that support. If it lacks, that freedom ceases to be there. Do you understand? Yeah. In as much the tracks are open for you, but you can't go into the track because you need a bike to go into the track. But what we also need to do is, as the participants of the sport, we also need to play our part so that the corporate world understand and they can appreciate what value it can actually add. We can't just sit and expect the corporate or the government to come on board. We've got work to do. That's why you see we are here in the UK. Not that we got money, but I tell you, for us to get here, there were sleepless nights. It was a last minute thing, that happened, and we're just happy when we got into the plane that finally we're now going to the UK. You understand? So it gives that impression to the corporate world and government that we are also committed. It's not like a free meal. So we need to work ourselves, and then the corporate world will come and partner us of what we are doing. They can't just come and say and knock at my door and say, hey, please go and do motorsport and we can sponsor you. I don't think that will exist here. So that support is very important, and also awareness. We need a lot of awareness. People need to understand. Both like motorsport, like motocross, it was mostly done by the white community, and they were not doing it like as a sport to go to world championships. It's like their lifestyle. You know, yeah. So really, we've changed the perception now that people can actually earn a living, can actually get recognized, you know, through that sport, and other kids. Mostly, is the future of the country is important. That are they motivated? Our children motivated to go out there and do things. You understand? So if we don't have that aspect, then it means that our next generation, we don't have a generation at all because they're so scared of the future. So that, I think it also helps, you know, with the corporate world and what we are doing. But it's a combined effort that we need to do.
And just finally, people who've played a key role in the development of Tanya's career, who have they been, and what sort of support have you received along the way?
Okay, yeah, like what Tanya said, one of our friends, Big Shitima, Big Shitima has been a rally driver for a very long time. But I remember the time he asked me to say, because he was the only black guy who was at the track, you know, so he asked me, we met at some place, and he's like, please bring your child. But I could see his face. He thought you know, the son, because maybe I had some muscles, you know, so it was the son. So when I get home, I was like to my wife, you know what, Big says we should bring our kid to the track, but we got Tanya, so I'm taking Tanya to the track tomorrow. So it's like, okay, fine. So we went to the track, and then we saw Tanya. It's like, oh, it's a girl. So, but he had no option. But you know, I realized that if I had told him at the place where we met that it's a girl, I obviously got to say, Shaman, a girl, and your wife, you get divorced. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we've got those kinds of the kind of people like Big Shitima. We also got also the club members. We got our club called Bog Wheelers. It's 3/4 white people. They're very supportive. You know, our bikes. You know, we get free services like from guys like Trevor Thingston. We've got Gary. We've got Sean. You know, they give a lot of support. And most important is my wife. You know, if she wasn't understanding that, you know, because most of the things that I was doing, it was like kind of weird, you know, and say, this guy, what are you talking about? Because I remember even when I said, you know what, let's engage an international manager for Tanya. And, you know, I remember to borrow a lot of money, you know, and to get the lady to Zimbabwe. That was when we started a relationship. And we also got companies like TIMB. There's a Dr. Matibiri there. He understands our, you know, our idea, our concept. We've got guys like from Finmark. We've got Yosa. We've got the Ministry of Sport. We've got Dr. Hitepo. We've got guys from SRC, Kenon Nemachena. We've got the minister, and now for a new minister now in our Ministry of Sport, and I believe he's very energetic and
former journalist.
The former journalist, yeah, he's one of your own, yeah. So I think he will make a good minister. I would think so, yeah, because he was the one who was reporting about the ills and the goods, you know, of other ministers. You know, so at least now you guys can actually, you know, scrutinize him. So I think he's gonna make a good minister, and you know, we've got people from the church. Now you can actually see we've got our relatives here. We've got Anamatemai. They are based here in the UK. You know how much they've been running around to make this interview happen. Yeah. Otherwise, we would have just flown back home and say, you guys, you're in the UK, but why didn't you see us? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and also the country. You can see on Tanya's Facebook page, you know, people respond. There is a lot of communication with people. It inspires us. Each morning when we open the Facebook page, we can see people commenting, you know, and give us the hope. Because, you know, this world is not our world, so, but it becomes our world when we encourage each other. So it's the whole country, it's everywhere. Now we are spreading. Now we are here with you guys here. So at least, you know, the brand is growing big and big every day.
Well, that's Tanya's dad giving us the back story to her amazing career. She's already been branded the Princess of Motocross in Zimbabwe. Many thanks to Tanya's dad, Tanya Muzinda, for joining us on Nehanda TV.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.